You are listening to The Evidence Locker. Our cases deal with true crimes and real people. Some parts are graphic in nature, and listener discretion is advised. Each episode is produced with the utmost respect to the victims, their families, and loved ones. In the vast and unforgiving wilderness of Alaska, extended summer twilight nights stretch long, and mysteries often hide in the shadows. And none is more haunting than the vanishing of the Palmer brothers. Two cases that have puzzled investigators for years, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and shattered hopes. Today, we look into the unexplained vanishings of Mike and Chucky Palmer. Nestled amidst the breathtaking landscape of Alaska, you'll find the small town of Palmer. A local family, also bearing the name of Palmer, was well known and loved by the tight-knit community. Chuck and Lisa had a large family of 4 children: Chris, Charles Jr., or Chucky, Michael, or Mike, and Hannah. The Palmer brothers were the epitome of Alaskan resilience. Born and raised in the last frontier, they were seasoned outdoorsmen who knew the wilderness like the back of their hands. They enjoyed activities like hunting, snowmobiling, ice fishing, and hiking. But their idyllic life took a tragic turn on the night of June 4, 1999. Enjoying his summer vacation, 15-year-old Mike Palmer went to a party in Meadow Lakes, Wasilla, about 9 miles from his home in Palmer. The plan was to stay over at a friend's house and head home in the morning. Mike and his friends went to a couple of parties that night. His mother, Lisa, who worked the night shift at Providence, Alaska Medical Center, called his friend's mother at 12:30 a.m. and learned that the boys had come home and were asleep. However, at 4 a.m., the teens snuck out. They were riding their bikes together down Pittman Road when Mike fell behind, prompting them to wait for him at the 7-Eleven on Parks Highway. When he failed to show, they assumed he had changed his mind and had gone home to his own house. Little did they know, they would never see him again. This was the time before all teenagers had cell phones, and it took all day for Mike's family and friends to realize that he was, in fact, missing. 11 hours passed before his mother reported his disappearance, igniting a frantic search that would span weeks and months. But despite the efforts of law enforcement and volunteers, Mike Palmer was nowhere to be found. Investigators learned that Mike had been in a fight at one of the parties the night before. However, he did not instigate the fight, and it was quickly resolved. After questioning the teens involved in the altercation, police were confident that the brawl was unrelated to Mike's disappearance. Nothing else about the night seemed out of the ordinary either. The discovery of Mike's bicycle in the Little Talkeetna River sent shockwaves through the community, a grim reminder of the perilous terrain that had claimed so many before him. Even though it was the same kind of bicycle Mike owned, his brother Chris later questioned if that was actually Mike's, to add more mystery to the case. His high-top Converse sneakers, wet and muddy, were found, neatly side by side, near a privately owned airstrip 200 yards from the river. Speculation ran rampant as to what might have befallen Mike on that fateful night. Some wondered if it was a case of foul play, suggesting he may have been accosted by unknown assailants while riding his bicycle. Yet, a young witness's claim of seeing Mike being beaten and shot on a bridge proved to be nothing more than a cruel fabrication. Others theorized that Mike had met his end in the icy embrace of the Little Talkeetna River, succumbing to hypothermia. But tracker dogs found no trace of his scent, and the still, clear water revealed no sign of his body. The section of the river where the bike was found was also relatively shallow. Everyone who knew him doubted that he could have drowned, seeing as he was a good swimmer. As the years stretched on, the Palmer family grappled with the agonizing uncertainty of Mike's fate. He was not a troubled teen, nor one to vanish without a trace. leading his loved ones to fear the worst. And then, almost 11 years to the day after Mike's disappearance, tragedy struck the Palmer family once again. Chucky Palmer, Mike's older brother, vanished near Talkeetna. It was a clear, early spring day when Chucky and Chris packed up their snowmobiles to enjoy the last bit of snow. However, at the last minute, Chris, the more experienced snowmobiler, had to pull out, seeing as the handlebars on his machine were broken. He insisted Chucky and their friends go on without him. Typically, Chris would be the last rider out, who made sure no one stayed behind. But sadly, that day, he wasn't there. Eerily, Chucky ended up at the back of the convoy, much like Mike was years before. Separated from his friends after veering off in the wrong direction, 31-year-old Chucky vanished into the wilderness without a trace. An extensive search of the Bald Mountain area yielded little in the way of clues, save for the discovery of Chucky's snow machine, buried in deep snow, several miles from the cabin. Dressed appropriately for the cold weather, Chucky lacked crucial survival gear, a GPS device, and even the most basic provisions of food and water. The days that followed his disappearance brought horrendous weather, which hindered search efforts. Presumed to have perished of exposure, Chucky's fate mirrored that of his brothers, leaving behind a legacy of heartache and unanswered questions. The community was left speechless. What are the odds of this happening to the Palmers again? Chris stated, "Two brothers aren't supposed to go missing from the same family. I never thought I'd have to deal with this shit ever again." What could possibly have happened to the Palmer brothers? The area where both of them vanished from falls within the boundaries of the Alaska Triangle. This area is reportedly known for strange phenomena, from Sasquatch sightings to UFO and alien activity, as well as multiple unexplained disappearances. In 1972, politicians Hale Boggs and Nick Begich, aide Russell Brown, and pilot Dan Johns disappeared after their light aircraft crashed en route from Anchorage to Juneau. The wreckage was found, but none of the 4 passengers were ever located. On a History Channel documentary, field researcher Ken Gerhard speculated that the Alaska Triangle could be a vile vortice, an area with increased electromagnetic force. He said, "The theory is that these particular areas are supercharged with geo-electromagnetic energy, and that abundance of electromagnetic energy results in some strange things. However, besides geographical proximity, there is nothing that links the disappearances to that of the Palmer brothers." And after countless hours of searching and questioning, no further traces have ever been found of Mike or Chucky. Their family had to make peace with the sad reality of the 2 uncanny disappearances, leaving behind only memories and unanswered questions. If you'd like to read more about this case, have a look at the resources used for this episode in the show notes. Also, visit us on social media to see more about today's case. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also check out our channel on YouTube. This was The Evidence Locker. Thank you for listening.